Welcome to Inspired for More podcast. I am so happy you're here. My name is Alexandra, and I have helped and I continue to help leaders grow and scale their businesses into multi-million-dollar sales organizations. I am insanely passionate about stepping into the very best version of ourselves and letting go of stories that no longer serve us. The more we achieve and expand ourselves, the more we give permission to the world to do the same thing. If anything here inspired you, just know you were actually meant to inspire others. Now let's dive into an episode. All right, you guys. Well, I'm so happy that you're here. This is very, very exciting for me. This is my second edition of Inspired for More podcast live. So the podcast has been existing now since 2022, and it was always a pre-recorded thing. So typically Didier and I would have gotten on either this kind of platform or another platform and recorded this without an audience, but we figured we both get more energized by being around people. So we figured we'd make this like an open conversation at the end of what Didier is going to share afterwards, if any of you want to be served in a more profound way with the content we're going to share today. And so I'm very excited to be here. Didier is not only my brother-in-law, fun fact, he is in South Africa. He is a certified Maxwell coach. He is very avidly active in the corporate environment and also in one-on-one coaching. So today's topic, when we were talking about getting this going together, we were talking specifically about identity. And, sometimes we don't reflect on that, how our identity is just literally programs that we have literally just decided subconsciously about our programming, and we can literally create a new cassette. We can plug in a new cassette and a new form of what we want to create in our life. And so I know for myself, I've been on this massive journey of entrepreneurship, personal growth over the last almost 20 years. Well, I've been an entrepreneur now for over 13 years. And one of the things is Didier and I were talking yesterday, it's like it had to have a pivotal shift from becoming an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. So that was an identity shift. Then it came from weight loss. I used to really typically see myself as a chunkier girl. So I had an identity with that. And with time, I started exercising, eating healthier, and having a better relationship with food. And then I started to identify myself as more of a healthier person and not one of those, not necessarily the chunkier version of myself. And so today I'm really excited for everything that Didier is going to cover. And like I said, we're going to open up the lines afterwards. I'm going to pass it off to you. And I'm just so grateful that you accepted to do this together.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening for those who are in South Africa or other part of the Africa, and good morning for those who are in America or Canada. So in fact, it's a pleasure for me. It's a pleasure because Alex is my sister-in-law and she's a coach and I'm also a coach. So we find some synergy. So I believe that you guys will get the best out of this session. The whole purpose is to serve you, to add value to you. And one of the big topics that people run away from is identity. Identity is has a major bearing into your life, but I will explain why as we go through the slide. Okay, so let me present my slide. And I want this session to be more interactive. I expect you to really ask questions. You can go on the comment section and ask your question because it's all about sharing and learning as well. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I can.
Perfect. So I'll put it on full. Is it perfect like this? Great. So identity is one of the key factor if you want to experience success. And of course, when we talk about success is a concept that people have different perspectives, define success differently. But whenever you need to reach some level of success in your life, you need to work on your identity. So today I will try, this is really a tiny part of one of the modules of my course that I offer. And I will just, give you on a high level what you can do to change your identity and also find out what exactly gets you stuck. Because to some extent, there are areas of your life where you seems to not having things going. So we will learn about self-image, okay? How self-image impact every single area of your life. And we will also look at how self-image is formed and how you can improve your self-image. So one of the things that I want to bring your attention to, when we talk about self-image, we have to remember that, like I said at the beginning, it has a huge bearing into your life. So according to some study, 40% and 20%, 40% of women and 20% of men have agreed that they will consider cosmetic surgery because they're not happy about their body. So for those people, their body represents a big part of their identity. I'm not quite sure if you believe that, but I'm of the view that our physical appearance do not really determine our identity. Our identity is something that is more deep inside us. The physical appearance, it's just the way we were born, but who we are can never be determined by our physical appearance. I'm having some challenge now to move the slide. Let's see. Yeah. So another thing that you have to be mindful of is if you have a poor self-image, it's gonna have some negative consequences in your life. One of the consequences is your mental health issues. Because when somebody has a bad, do not have a strong and healthy self-image of themselves. I'm using the word self-image because they are synonym with identity. So identity, if you have a poor identity of yourself, usually you will have this tendency to have negative self-talk. You will probably shift on the side where you are more negative. You always see things on the bad side instead of looking at the positive side. One of the challenges also that you may experience is that you would probably have challenge to make decisions because you have a poor self-image and poor identity of yourself. You don't trust yourself enough to make decisions. And you will have a low level of motivations. So these are among the consequences of having a poor self-image. I'm not sure if it's something that resonates with you, but there are some of the things that I have highlighted which actually resonated with me because in the past, today I'm a coach, but in the past, I used to have a negative self-talk. I used to talk really badly about me on an ongoing basis during the day. And of course, what it triggered, because if you keep talking negatively about you, your actions and the way you feel will correspond with your self-talk. And your self-talk also have a huge bearing on how your mind relate to it, because I will go through it and I will explain to you why your mind has a different way of functioning. You have your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, but it's something that really affected me. So that's why I can relate to this very easily. So the self-image is something that we all struggle with. And I want you guys to be really honest with yourself because this session is about sharing and also trying to learn. So when it comes to
Can I interrupt
self-image,
there? Can I interrupt
please,
there on that
please.
last slide?
Yeah.
I love that last point that you have on that slide about reduced motivation, because often people will feel like they want a lot out of their life, but then they go, I don't know where the motivation, like, I don't have the motivation. It's because they actually have a mental picture of them not being a winner, not being a successful entrepreneur, not being a successful, whatever you're actually running for. And so either it's in the corporate field or in the non-corporate field, but you literally don't have the image of you winning in your mind. And so the actions to get to the winning version of you are not even, you can't even put them into place, hence why there's the lack of motivation. And I've lived that too, because I didn't identify myself as a successful person for a very long time until I started doing some deep meditations and journaling and really reflecting and also looking at people who had what I wanted and questioning myself, like, were they perfect people? No. Then what made them so, they just unapologetically loved what they were doing and they were chasing a new ideal with all of their energy, and that became magnetic. And so sometimes we'll sit and we'll compare ourselves, but when we do that, we actually reduce our self-image even more. Hence, impacting our motivation even more. And I can totally relate to that because I've gone through like up and down in motivation. But I feel like the most important thing is vision casting, and I talk about that a lot too. So I love that, Didier.
Okay, cool. So self-image, if you have to define it, is very simple. Your self-image or your identity is who you are, how you express yourself, and how you act. It's that image that you have of you. And unfortunately, nobody else can see it. Only you have that image. So that image can either be an image of a winner, an image of somebody that is a loser. And unfortunately, it really affects the way you feel about yourself and how you express yourself in the world, in your career, in your business environment. All these areas of your life, in your personal relationship, are affected by that image that you keep holding. So there is a cosmetic surgeon, Maxwell Maltz. He actually wrote a very good book on psychocybernetic. He's the one who did a little bit of dig up on self-image. So he came to the conclusion that our self-image is the cornerstone of our mental state. And therefore, all successes and failure that happen in our life are a result of our self-image. I mean, you can easily relate to this when you look at athletes. When an athlete needs to win a competition, he needs to change his self-image, his identity, and see himself as a winner. Because if he doesn't do that, he's not going to be able to win. So he needs to think, feel, and act like a person, like a winner. So self-image, like I said, it's a mental state. And it's something that we can change from time to time. Alex just shared something very interesting here. She said when she moved from one career to another, she had to have a mental shift in her identity. I mean, I experienced the same thing. I'm a lawyer by profession. Now, moving from a lawyer to become a business coach, that was a huge shift in my life. And what happened is, I remember very well, because I have a mentor. I was struggling to actually call prospect. And the reason why I couldn't call the prospect is because down somewhere in my subconscious mind, I convinced myself that I was not a salesperson, because I remember vividly a conversation that I had with one of the head of sales in my company. I told him, look, I will never be a salesperson, and I don't really envy your job. And that was a random conversation. But that image keep holding me, because as I moved to become a business coach, I had to approach clients, I had to call clients, do cold calling. Now, that image was really strong. For about 7 months, I didn't take any action until my mentor called me out and say, well, I mean, you did this, you are an accredited coach, but what are you waiting for? Because if you're not doing anything, so you rather focus on your career. So that's just to show you how strong your self-image can really get you stuck. So what is not self-image? Because sometimes people think self-image is what I possess: my car, my house, my clothes, my jewelry. So self-image has nothing to do with what you possess. What you possess are just things. They do not define you. Because if what you possess define you, what happens is when you lose everything, your identity is lost as well. What self-image is not is your accomplishment. You should never link your accomplishment with your self-image. Otherwise, you're going to be in a situation where you need to accomplish more for you to acknowledge yourself as an achiever. And your self-image is not defined by what other people say. What other people say has no bearing into your self-image, because just that has nothing to do with you and who you are. Whatever they say, it's what they see. The potential is inside you. What you look like doesn't have a bearing into your identity or your self-image. Now, this is a very interesting part of this presentation, and I want really to spend a bit of time here. Your mind, some of you may be aware of this, your mind functions in two levels. You have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is where you reason. You think, you reject idea, you create, you innovate. You have to use your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is your intellectual mind. Now, the other part of your mind is your subconscious mind, which is called your emotional mind, your habit mind. So everything regarding your habit, your pattern, your emotions, your identity sit in your subconscious mind. Now, the beauty here is we are in control of whatever comes in our mind. You know, on average, they say we have about 60,000 thoughts every day that we have to process. So through our conscious mind, we process these thoughts. Now, if these thoughts that we process during the day are negative thoughts, let's say we keep focusing on what is negative, the subconscious mind, unfortunately, cannot reject ideas. So your subconscious mind can only accept whatever comes from the conscious mind. So if all day long I keep focusing on what is not working, my subconscious mind record it as this is what is not working, and the subconscious mind must express it. And your subconscious mind will express it through lack of confidence, procrastination, probably feeling down, being depressed, and all these things have an impact on your result in life. Now, if you want to change your self-image, you have to be mindful that your self-image is in your subconscious mind. Like Alex says, you need to work on you. It's not too much work, but you need to be willing to change it. Because your success in any undertaking will never be greater than the image that you have of yourself. Your result reflects the image you hold about yourself. You can't find excuses in the economy. The economy has no bearing into your result. Whatever is happening around you has no bearing. It's just the image that you keep holding about yourself. Every day, people sign check of billions around the world. There are transactions of billions that are signed. So it means the money has never been the problem. It's just how you see yourself. What is the kind of identity that you hold about yourself? Jobs, there are plenty of jobs. So I want you really to understand this. You can ask me a question later on, but this is very important. Your self-image can also be similar to a psychocybernetic mechanism. So I have a picture of a plane. When a plane leaves, I'm in South Africa, so if a plane leaves Johannesburg with a destination Texas or Montreal, that plane, despite the fact that when it takes off, it's going to face turbulence, ultimately that plane will reach the destination because there is an automatic system in the plane that drives the plane. And the same applies with a thermostat in your house. For some of you, I mean, in South Africa, we don't have that. Those central heater, when it's winter time, you just press and then the whole house is warm. So what will happen, for example, if somebody leave one of the door in the house open? If that house was warm, immediately you will feel cold. But if they close the door, the temperature in that room will go back to the same temperature. So that's how your self-image and identity works. So if your image and your identity is set that I can only earn 500,000 USD or $500,000, whatever you do, you will find reason to sign deals that will only be set at 500,000 USD. Because you never saw yourself earning $1 million or 2 million or 3 million. Your identity is not yet there. So anytime we do things in life, we have to shift our identity. So it's something that can keep evolving. I don't know, Alex, if you want to talk a little bit about this.
I'm loving everything that you just shared in that previous slide and this slide, because our subconscious mind takes suggestions all the time. Okay. It's constantly listening. And so it has to take in all the knowledge and like filter it through to be filtering it to your self-image and what you see right now in your paradigm. And what he was just saying about how all the world has all these different opportunities. If you don't believe that opportunities exist, you don't ever see them, ever. The same way that who you hang out with and what the things that you feed yourself every single day. Like I remember the first time that I was listening to the radio, when I became conscious of my subconscious mind, and the radio was like, oh, win $1,000 and pay your credit card. I was like, wait a minute. That's an auto suggestion that most people have credit card debt and paying my credit card. And so when you become aware of this, it becomes very powerful. And I want to give you an example just recently in my personal life. In the last 2 years, I found myself stuttering when I was speaking. And that's very odd of me because that wasn't something that I ever really did in the past. And what I realized just recently, going through a whole hypnotherapy certification, is that at one point, I took on someone's suggestion that I wasn't as powerful as I had believed I was in the past. And so I started to subconsciously sabotage the way that I spoke without knowing it. And because I became aware of it recently, I'm like, I don't stutter. Like, and even if I did, it's not part of my identity. It could happen. And so you got to laugh at the things that you might be thinking are weaknesses for you. And the more that you can find your subconscious playing games on you for you to play small in your life, just kind of look at it and go, I know, I care about you. Like, I love you. And you can release those parts because your higher self is calling you. You've got a massive life awaiting you. And you're letting all these little programmings that just want to keep you small, keep you on autopilot, living that life. But to push forward, you have to identify where you've been stagnant. And sometimes that's challenging. And that's why I really believe in an exterior coach or somebody from the outside looking in, because it will make you see the blind spots in your life. Because sometimes we get so much on autopilot that when we're not around the right circles, we can keep going on autopilot and self-sabotage over and over and over again until you're around somebody who has an elevated view of life that can look in and say, hey, do you realize you're in this pattern and you've been doing that pattern for like a little while, and just kind of set you on 1 degree over. And that 1 degree over can be a whole pivotal shift for your whole identity and also your income, your health, your joy, your prosperity. Like everything can shift if you start being aware of the things that have been subconsciously affecting you in that way. And a lot of the times it's minimal suggestions that we didn't even realize. I had a girl I was talking to, I just want to give you this example. She was fit her whole life. Okay. She was an athlete. And she literally was with somebody 2-3 years ago out for dinner. And they said, you could afford to eat a couple of cakes if you wanted to. And she was like, she was very disciplined up until that point. And she's like, you know what? You're right. I could totally. She took the suggestion. Her subconscious took the suggestion. You could eat a couple of cakes if you wanted to. So sure enough, she started just enjoying life more and more and more. And she looked in the mirror in January 2024. And she was like, I don't feel good about who I am and the habits that I've taken on in alignment with the life that I want to live. And so she just started taking on better habits and just started pivoting those subconscious beliefs about, hey, you could eat a cake. Like she can eat a cake and she's going to eat it from time to time, but not so often. And she realized that suggestion was not a suggestion that was serving her in any way. So we've taken on suggestions, and that's just an example about cake, but how many times have we taken a suggestion about the things like, hey, you don't have to do that project. Why are you working so hard? Why are you doing that? There's all kinds of people and opinions around us that are trying to limit the things that are really lighting your soul on fire that you want to push forward. So I'm loving all of this. And I saw in the comments, I'm not the only one loving everything you're sharing, Didier.
Okay. So the first step toward improving your self-image is awareness. Nothing happens in life until you become aware. You must become aware of something not working. And that is the first step. That's why in life, we learn to not judge people very quickly. When people do things, it's because the level of awareness is not at the same level as you. So firstly, becoming aware that I need to improve my self-image. I don't like, just like Alex says, that lady who was an athlete, look at herself and say, I don't like what I see. So you have to look at yourself and say, no, I shouldn't have this result. I deserve better. Because there are other people out there, they're just human like you. They're making 3 or 4 times more than what you're earning. They're not just, they are not different from you. They are not smarter than you. I mean, if you look, I always have this good example of 2 individuals who one own a mansion and the other one own a normal house on the same street. They are neighbor. So if somebody asks you, is the person who own the mansion smarter than the person who stay in an average house? Most probably, most people will say he's smarter. But I will disagree. He's not smarter. The only thing he's aware of how to make more money. And the person who will stay in an average house doesn't have the same level of awareness. So that's why awareness is the first step if you want to improve your self-image. Ask yourself these kind of questions. What are my current beliefs? What is it that I'm holding on? What are those beliefs? Take a piece of paper, write down, you can divide on the left side. What are my current beliefs? What am I thinking about me? What do I believe to be true about me? And then write down all those beliefs. And then on the other, on the right side of the paper, ask yourself, is this true? Are these beliefs really true about me? Do they serve me? Because at the end of the day, why would you hold on beliefs that do not serve you? Because if you keep holding on those things, the result will remain the same. It's just like Albert Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. Ask yourself, what are my honest thoughts, fear, doubt, belief, and habit? Why do I believe this? Sometimes it has been passed down by your mother, your father, but why do I believe this? Is this true about me? And remember, your identity also is shaped by your thought, experience, whatever happened to you, failure, shame, success, all these things play an important role on how you see yourself. So your job is to keep challenging those beliefs, challenge those beliefs because they do not serve you. Really, I want you to do this exercise. It's going to help you. Because if you don't do that, your self-image job will be to keep you and to protect you by keeping you in the comfort zone. And you don't want to be in the comfort zone. Growth only happens as you step up from the comfort zone. The second step is you need to really love yourself. If you love yourself, why would you play small? You don't want to play small. You have so much to give to this world. I like this quote from Marianne Williamson. She said, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. You playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You have been put on this earth to shine. You have a right to shine. You have a right to become your best version. And that is something that you need to work on. You really need to give yourself that mission. I have to not play small. I have to play big because I've been put on this earth to achieve great things. The third step is to be happy. Happiness is important. Most of the time, people defer their happiness to some future event. Oh, I'm gonna be happy only if I start earning this amount of money. I'm gonna be happy when my kids, are no longer in my house. Do not defer your happiness. You have to enjoy your happiness right now because we only have today to live. We have no idea about tomorrow. And the fourth step is, how do you define success? Because the way you define success will definitely play a key role on how you see yourself. Because if your definition of success is based on somebody else's success, so meaning you start comparing yourself with someone else, how he's doing, that's not the right way to do things. There is one of the authors, I think he passed away, his name is an American guy, Earl Nightingale. He says he defines success as the pursuit of a worthy idea. So anytime you pursue a worthy idea, you are successful. A teacher at school would love to teach kids, to help kids. She is successful. A carpenter would like to help people. He is successful. So what is your definition of success? Because that will have a huge bearing on the image that you hold about you. You have to let go of the past. Whatever happened in the past, your past experience, your shame, your failure, should never define who you are. They should be point of reference for learning, because anything that happened to us happened for a reason. We can learn from it and get better. But we should never focus our entire life defining our identity based on what happened to us in the past. So letting go should be something that you should be focusing on. Let go. You can't spend your entire, imagine driving, and the whole journey you keep looking at the rear view mirror. What will happen? You will end up in a car accident. So focus on the present and the future. Another step toward improving your self-image is repeated action. I heard Alex was talking about auto-suggestion. So repeated action are basically our brain, the way it works. I explained that earlier. Your subconscious mind can only accept ideas. So the only way you can reprogram your subconscious mind is through a pattern of affirmations, auto-suggestion. Because when you affirm, let's say if I keep telling myself every day, I am powerful, I am prosperous, I will believe it. Because remember, what I say to myself, I believe it more than what anybody else say about me. So my job, if I want to change my self-image, is to keep saying, talking about my future self. Who is it that I want to become? And I must say it in the present tense. And those affirmations, as you keep saying them to yourself, you will start feeling in power, and it's going to move you to take action. There is another version of inside you that can do 10 times better than what you're currently doing. So your job is to go and draw that person from inside. And that person is what? Your identity. You must draw that identity out. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are not. So I want you to really understand, if you want to experience a major shift, you go through the step that I've shared, but you also need to think and feel and act like the person that you want to become. There's a guy that I follow, his name is Arash Busagi. I think he used to be one of Bob Proctor, the protege. So Arash Busagi, I like the way he talks about the future self. Your future self, imagine 10 years from now, what would you love in terms of your future self? What kind of life would you have? Now, if you have that image really clear, then start thinking, feeling, and acting like that person. Sometimes you need to ask yourself, when you face a situation, ask yourself, how would my future self will react to this situation? Would my future self say yes to this or no? Because those are easy questions that will help you go back and say, no, I'm working on my identity shift, so my future self will never say yes to this. So therefore, I say no. So thinking, feeling, and acting like the person that you want to become should become your way of living. Create identity-based habits, because the only thing that can guarantee you a change is habits. You have to create a set of habits that will help you to focus on who you need to become. So after what I've just shared, do you see yourself as a star? Because you are a star. But because of some identity that you keep holding about you, you keep stuck where you are, but you are a star. So what we've discussed today in a nutshell is your self-image is what you think of you based on your past experience, your failure, your shame, your victory, your value and belief. And unfortunately, it set the ceiling as to what you can achieve and do in life, like a thermostat. So anything that you want to achieve in life, you must go back and rewind. Look at your self-image. What am I thinking of me? What are those beliefs that I keep holding on? So you can improve your self-image by awareness, which is the first step, becoming aware of everything that is holding you back. What are those fears that I have? What are those doubts, beliefs that I keep entertaining that keep me stuck? Decide to not play small. Go for bigger things. That way you need to have goals. You need to know where you're heading. Your goals are important. And remember that you are good enough to shine. Learn to be happy. Live your life. Happiness is right now. Happiness is not in the future, it's right now. It's a state of mind. Define your success for you and stop comparing yourself with others. Letting go of the past. The past belongs to the past. We focus on the present because whatever we do right now will impact our future. Use affirmations because the only way you're going to reprogram that subconscious mind is through affirmation. Declare good things about you. I am a winner. I am an overcomer. I am a successful business person. Things like that. Keep saying that over and over. Then it's going to sink in your subconscious mind. You're going to start feeling good about you and act like you should be acting. So those are the few things that we discussed today. I'm opening up, Alex. So let's just have a conversation. I mean, we have many people on the call.
Yeah, and we're gonna wrap this up. I'll conclude the record. Maybe we can add some questions in the recording. That would be so great. Yeah. I'm like beaming when you said, "Do you feel like a star?" And I hope that all of you, whether you have your camera open or not, like I hope you were smiling when he said that. Like, do you see yourself as a star? Because imagine that what you embody and what you exude as an energy when you're stepping out in the world and you see yourself as a star. A star shines bright, passes on light to other people. Like it's unapologetic for showing up and being happy. And I loved all of that. And I want to bring back to the fact that when you said about the person that has the $1 million house, the mansion, and the person that has the average house, I was actually having the reflection. I was at a conference a little while ago, and there was a guy on stage that was sharing how he was at a cap of earning $300,000 a month. And I was like, that's a really interesting paradigm. And I was like, he's at a cap of $300,000 a month. And I thought to myself, if he's at a cap of $300,000 a month, and he's not smarter than me, and when you look at the statistics in terms of money and your intelligence, it's actually 17% of your wealth is equivalent to your intelligence. That's all that it's relative to. But it was absolutely about his standard and his self-image. He saw himself like a $300,000 a month person. And so I'm leaving today from so much better, thanks to you, because the biggest question that I'm going to be asking myself is the $1 million version of me, the X amount million version dollar of me, does she say yes to these things? And I'm proud to say that the commitments that I've made for the next 4 months is like a hell yeah. That $1 million version of me is absolutely all in her life. So I hope that as you look forward right now, as we're stepping into fourth quarter, which just means we're closing up 2024, just think about what kind of energy do you want to embody finishing up your year? What kind of energy do you want to be closing up so that you can start? Because the way we finish a year is the way we start a new year, right? And so every single result that you want is within a 90-day stretch. Every single thing you want. So it's what you're doing today. So if you start doing the affirmations today, if you start embodying being a star today, if you start really making decisions based on that future version of you today, imagine how you're going to be feeling in December. Like, I'm just blown away that in 4 months from now, we're going to be in the week of Christmas. It's going to be December 28th. Like, it's going to be crazy. So if you want to be that happier version of you in 4 months time from now, you've got to start taking responsibility for that. And I have so much gratitude to you for today's presentation and all that. So we can open up for questions if people want to be on the live recording. If not, I can wrap up the recording. And if you are listening to the podcast recording, and if you are here live and you haven't if you've enjoyed this, I would so beyond appreciate a rating on the show for Inspired for More. That's how we go up in the algorithm. And what I know for sure is that all this type of content is just things that have absolutely elevated my life to the next level. And I just want to keep elevating other people's lives to the next level. And I know that Didier is on the same exact mission. So I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for joining me for an episode. I so beyond appreciate being on this journey with you. And if this served you in any way, take time, leave a review, leave a comment, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to add you to my private community that I'm sharing inspirational content every single day. And most of all, when we share this kind of content, we actually take time and elevate the world to a whole other level of consciousness. And so on that note, have a blessed day.